I'm not gonna lie to you, that tastes really good.
I'm Scott Conant from Scarpetta Restaurant in New York City. So probably one of the craziest stories that's happened to me there's been a lot of them in my career. When I first opened up a restaurant on the east side, we had a gentleman come in who had been drinking quite a bit, guy from Ireland, and he had a heavy brogue. He actually worked for the United Nations. After a little while, he'd been drinking with a couple friends, and they ended up leaving. I think he had one person left, and then he got his check, and he just was outraged by the bill. I think we had a $12 martini at the time, which in New York City isn't astronomical. It's actually kind of reasonable, all things considered. And I don't know when the chef becomes a voice of reason, but for some reason, after him really carrying on about the bill, he refused to pay it, and we tried to explain to him. He told us that he went to the Four Seasons all the time, and he never paid a bill so excessive, which is hard to believe. I came out of the kitchen, and I tried to go through the itemized bill with him, and I said, "Sir, if you could see, this bill really isn't," and he had a pen in his hand, and he took his pen as I was trying to explain the itemized, and he stabbed me in the hand. I don't have a mark, unfortunately, but he stabbed me in the back, right in this part of my thumb, and he stormed out of the restaurant, refusing to pay the bill at all. So that's not necessarily the best part of the story. He came back the next day, sober and humiliated, and he just felt horrible. And he brought us a 6-pack of beer as a kind of as an apology. And he proceeded to sit at the bar, and we let him drink again, and he paid his bill from the night before, and all was well. And we ended up picking up his check because he just felt horrible about it. It was a good story.
Here we are in southeastern Thailand on the island of Koh Chang. Koh Chang is the second largest island in Thailand with a very small population. We're staying at Jungle Way. Our hosts are Lek and Sasha. This place is very small, has only 6 bungalows, and they're very, very basic. We're nestled amongst the fruit orchards. This is mangosteen, one of our favorite fruits, probably considered the best fruit in Thailand. This is the flower, the durian. Durian is probably the most popular fruit in Southeast Asia. Some Asians go insane over these things. The durian flower smells a lot like the fruit. It's pretty strong, but it's really good. Here in the jungle, it's a wonderful place to relax. It's quiet, it's dark. Sounds of the jungle at night are fantastic. Here we are, we're hanging out at the restaurant in Jungle Way, having a little bit of sang som poured by our bartender, Nop. Whether to relax or eat, that's pretty well the 2 biggest decisions of the day. We'll peruse the menu and order quite a meal for everyone tonight. We're gonna start with Pak Bung Phai Dang. That's Pak Bung Morning Glory done in a very hot skillet. The key is the hot skillet. Phai Dang means red fire. We've got the help of the cats and the cook. You can see the flame on the wok is up high, and you've just got to keep stirring it. But it's Morning Glory oyster sauce, soy sauce, garlic, and chili peppers, cooked very, very quick, very, very hot. Probably our favorite vegetable in all of Thailand. Absolutely delicious. Here we have planung manao. That's tub tim fish steamed in lime juice, served with plenty of garlic, cilantro, and lots of chili peppers. Probably the best way to cook fish. Now we're gonna do Pond's fried potatoes. Onions, garlic, spring onion, lots of oil. You pre-fry your potatoes, and then you refry them again with the oil and the garlic and some butter. We're gonna do the spring onion, the garlic, and the onion in the butter. We're going to fry that while the oil heats for the potatoes. We're going to use some pre-fried crispy garlic, which you can buy in most Asian grocery stores. The secret is the garlic. Put your pre-fried potatoes back in the oil, get them good and hot, make them a little bit crispy. Once they're crispy, then you mix them in with the vegetables, Stir them up, sprinkle on that garlic, and you're ready to go. This is probably one of the best ways to cook potatoes, and it's amazing that we'd have to go all the way to Thailand, a country that isn't even usually using potatoes, to find it. Our next dish is pad thai. We're going to start with some hot pan and oil. We've got pork, plenty of spring onion. They've got to be cut in large pieces, shredded cabbage, and shredded carrots. I'm going to put the garlic and the pork in the oil, get that cooking. And the key is, again, to have your pan hot. I'm going to break an egg, stir that around with the garlic and the pork. Pad thai is made a little differently everywhere you go. Here we're using some vinegar, and the key is to put the vinegar at this stage. This is soy sauce. Add some of that. Add sugar. This is sweet soy sauce now. As Pawn cooks this, the smell is just wonderful, and that's what you can't see here on the video, but it's not quite sweet enough, so we add a little more sugar. Then we put in the pre-soaked rice noodles. The noodles will soak up the juice from the eggs and the pork and the vinegar and the sugar flavor, and that's really how you integrate the flavors. Now we're gonna add in the rest of the vegetables, stir that around some more, and there we have it. Pad thai, a la Jungle Way. Thank you, Pawn. This is a wonderful recipe, and we've really got a good look at it. Dinner's served in the restaurant out under the soft light. There's about a dozen of us here, and we're going to enjoy dinner, and soon it'll be time for some after-dinner entertainment. Our host, Lek, who's a former fire dancing champion, he's going to give us a little demonstration tonight. Fire dancing is a popular skill in Thailand, and many, many people come here just to learn this.
How to make your own pasta. Lemon, Parmesan cheese, garlic, heavy cream, 500 grams of AP flour, salt, 5 eggs, olive oil. Whip the eggs together with the olive oil. Then mix the salt in with the flour and make a well in the center of the bowl. Pour the egg and the olive oil mixture into the well and slowly start incorporating the wet mix with the dry. Once it's turned into a cloppy mess, start kneading it into one big clump. From there, take the big piece of workable dough and move it onto a floured workspace and start kneading. Pay attention to how sticky the dough gets. This is a good measure of the moisture content in your dough and will vary every time that you make it. The weather alone is enough to affect this, so keep adding flour if the ball keeps getting sticky. Once the pasta dough has become one smooth ball, you'll have to let it rest for at least an hour. The gluten molecules in the flour need a chance to decompress after all that kneading. Now, once it's rested, take the dough, a rolling pin, in this case a bottle of wine, more flour, and a pasta rolling machine, and get a big rolling space ready. With the rolling pin, work the dough into a thin enough piece to put into the mouth of the pasta machine, and then cut the dough into workable sizes. Try to cut the dough to the right width to feed into the machine, and if needed, use the rolling pin again to make it fit. Then start feeding the dough through. Once you've made it about halfway through the size settings on the machine, you'll have to do what's called a trifold. Basically, fold the pasta over itself in thirds, and then start it back through the machine on the widest size setting all over again. This works the gluten in the dough even more, evenly distributes all the ingredients and seasonings in the dough. Now once it's rolled out to the correct thickness, cut even pieces out of the long sheet of pasta. Stack these pieces on top of each other with extra flour if needed, and cut your pasta noodles from the stack. This will help keep your noodles uniform in size. Once cut, hang the pasta on whatever you have available. An old clothes rack is ideal, but even an old stock pot does the job. Drying the pasta a little before cooking does great things to the texture, almost giving fresh pasta an al dente doneness. To make some dinner, take the slightly dried pasta and drop it into the water. As soon as that goes in the pot, pour some olive oil in a hot pan, then add some sliced garlic. Just as the garlic begins to brown, add a small amount of white wine, letting it almost entirely cook off. Then hit the pan with some heavy cream and reduce further. Season with a little salt, pepper, lemon juice, and then cut the heat. By the time the sauce is finished, it should only take 2 to 3 minutes. Your pasta is done. Drop it right in the pan, grate some Parmesan on the top, and toss it all together. Plate it up, grate on a little more cheese, and eat away.
he was picking the cake up at 7 o'clock. I don't have time. I gotta go over to the place to get the other thing with the ice and the stuff and everything for the... Let me call you back. Oh, whoa, 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 what are you doing? This isn't a sandwich. What are you doing? Why would you put something like this in your mouth? This is garbage. Don't eat that. What's wrong with you? Do you want a sandwich? Okay, this is what you do. Listen to me, pay attention. Okay, you start off with nice Italian whole wheat bread. Okay, then you put some prosciutto. Listen, prosciutto, mortadella, soppressata. Are you listening to me? You understand? Oh, look over there. Look at me. Prosciutto, mortadella, soppressata, some provolone, and then you top it off with some nice Roma tomatoes. Do you know what a Roma tomato is? Okay, it's a plum tomato. Okay, you ask the guy for plum tomatoes because nobody knows, because they're idiots. Look at me. What are you looking at? Then you take that with some basil oil, garlic, basil, and some olive oil, and you mix it up like a dressing. It's not a pesto. Listen to me. You understand? And you put it on there with some nice salt and pepper. Okay, and that's it. And that's your sandwich. Here, take a bite of that. I catch you eating garbage like this again, I'm gonna knock you out. All right? Jesus. So stupid, these people.
Konnichiwa. Welcome to my kitchen. Miso is like cheese. Young cheese, such as mozzarella, has pale color, not so salty, and has mild flavor. In contrast, aged cheese like Roquefort has very strong characteristics. Color is darker, very robust taste, and salty. Almost all of the miso available in America is made from soybeans and rice. Today, I have 3 kinds. This is Saikyo miso, sweet white miso. The young, so short fermented. The color is pale and milder flavor and aroma. Little beany and very sweet. And here is the aka miso, red miso. This is an opposite of Saikyo miso. The long fermented, aged, so the color is dark. Flavor very robust, strong, and salty. Very nice, strong, acid-like flavor. And the other miso sit between these two is called shiro miso or white miso. The characteristics of this miso is between these two. So, which miso you should have in your kitchen? These 2 types. Saikyo miso, sweet white miso, and aka miso, red miso. When you go to the store, when you pick the miso, just to choose the one which has the longest shelf life. After bringing them back from the store, you can freeze them. The freezing doesn't change the texture of the miso, but keeps them longer and fresher, almost for 1 year. You can use these miso to make many delicious dishes. I will show you how to make miso soup, stir-fried vegetables with miso, and miso dressing. Please come back to the next episodes, or you can find more recipes in the Japanese kitchen. じゃあまた See you later.
This is Vernon. He's my new puppy. We do lots of stuff together. Watch movies. Not best in show again. Play games. Now you know that is not how you spell neuter. Lots of stuff. When it comes to dinner time though, we usually go to our separate spots. Not anymore. I'm making recipes that you and your pet can share together. This is Pet Chef. So today we're going to be making a doggone big dog bone. And my assistant Vernon and I, we're going to start with a pound of ground chicken, and to that we're going to add 1 egg, like so. And we're going to add about 1 apple diced and cored. You can leave the peel on that, good for fiber. We're going to add 1/2 a package of frozen peas and carrots, thawed. To that, dump it right in. And then 1/2 a cup of wheat flour. That. And then for the fun part that Vernon likes to watch, is going to get right in there and just mix that all up. And then once we get all the ingredients combined, we're going to shape this into a doggone big dog bone. See that come into shape a little bit? Start to see the dog bone in there. And from here, we're going to put this in the oven for about 45 minutes at 375, and it is enough to serve about 10 puppies for a puppy party. So I can tell by Vernon's alertness that it seems to be ready, and you're right as always, Mr. Vernon. Looks perfect to me. So we're going to take it right out and plate it up. So now that we have let our doggone big dog bone cool and set, we are ready to serve a little piece to Vernon. There you go, buddy, right there. And I'm going to have a little piece myself. I like that. That is a doggone good big dog bone.
So on my 3rd trail when I got to New York City, I was still a culinary student, and I go to this restaurant and I'm trailing garde-manger with these 2 other cooks, and one of them is also a student at my school. Wait, did I say he's a notorious yeller already, or should I say that again? I heard a couple days before my trail that the chef Bill was a notorious yeller. And that I should watch out for him, and that he kind of got like a little crazy during service or whatever. So service starts and he's okay, and then it starts to like get busy and the orders start coming in. He starts like getting kind of frantic and crazy, and he's like, "What the fuck is this dish?" and like sending food back to his line cooks, and he's like, "This looks like shit, I can't serve this shit, what the fuck?" and like flipping out, and he asks for some dish off garde-manger. Zach makes like a really snotty comment back to him, and Bill's like, "Zach, every time we have a fucking trail here, you have to act so funny. You think you're so funny, you think you're so fucking smart. Well, you're not. I told you before, you're stupid. You're fucking stupid. You know what? Get out. Just fucking get out. You're fucking fired. Leave my kitchen." And Zach is kind of like, he doesn't know if Bill's like serious, if he really got fired, if he's kidding, because sometimes like no one can tell when Bill's kidding, but he really was fired. And so he kind of like leaves, and it's really silent in the kitchen, and everybody kind of goes back to work, and like 30 minutes of silence, and Bill's like, "Nina, when can you start?" And that's how I got my first job in New York.
Hi, I'm Philippe Newland with Devour TV's Top 50 Dishes New York City, and today we're at Lupa, where we're going to meet with Chef Cruz Gulaire, and I'm going to eat some tripe. Come on.
Hi, I'm Cruz at Lupa Restaurant, Thompson Street, New York City. This is tripa alla romana, and if Philippe doesn't like it, it's crazy.
Fantastic. All right. I understand that it takes a while to get this.
It does take a while. Kind of, what happens, it'll come as a shower cap, or it's almost like a vessel. Take it out, and after you blanch, you can then cut it up, and it becomes easier to kind of trim away some of the lining that you don't want, while keeping all the honeycomb texture on the other side.
I did a little homework in there, different kinds of tripe. Is that not the case?
There's a lot of stuff going on there, but this is most typically what you're going to get when you would order tripe from a butcher or any sort of meat purveyor. cut it into the appropriate size that we want to fit into the dish, and then we just basically braise it like you would any other braised dish, and then you would just simmer for a long time for about 3 hours or.
It's not a 30-minute dish. This is
No, you'd have trouble doing that.
right. Sorry, no 30-minute dishes on in this session. How do we finish off this dish?
Once it's finished, we'll take it out, we'll cool it, and then we would finish it with just a little more chili and just fresh herbs, parsley and mint, and then we'll put it into this little crock.
Okay.
Heat it up, finish it with breadcrumbs and pecorino and a few drops of fresh lemon just for acidity.
Look at that. You can sort of see the texture of the. All right, I'm just gonna eat it now.
Tripe is all about the texture.
You know?
What do you think?
I kind of like it.
Kind of.
No, I think I'm gonna really like it. What I'm getting right away is I'm getting a little bit of that texture. There's a little bit of chewiness to it, and your tomato sauce is obviously at Lupa. It's going to be outstanding. And then, as you were saying, the cheese adds a little bit of a bite to it, and all those other herbs and things. So I'm going to go for piece number 2, and you know, it can look like a nice piece of pasta, and you just wrap it around like that, and there you have it. Not much left. Great dish, great recommendation. Thanks again.
No problem.
For Devour TV, this is Philippe Newland, Top 50 Dishes, New York City, at Lupa, finishing my tripe. See you next time.